I remember last class we discussed how to design few databases. Like for example, we did Twitter, we did Swiggy, we did two, three databases. So that was it. Today, what we'll do is we'll learn about TCL, that is Transaction Control Language, and then we will look at different types of concurrency and locking mechanisms available. We'll also look at how to handle error code, how to handle errors in case of whenever you encounter error, how to handle the errors and end gracefully. So we'll try to finish all of that. With that, what we should be done is we should be able to finish the first part of SQL. So I'll need another 2 to 3 classes max to complete the other portion. That is more in terms of designing databases, like put a top-down approach, bottom-up approach, entity relation diagram, and normalization. So that will take another 2, 3 classes. So that should be done completely. So let us begin today. So basically, what are transactions and why we need transactions? If you see what we do normally in MySQL, we are running statements one after the other. So whenever we are running statements one after the other, sometimes it can happen that one statement succeeds and the other statement doesn't succeed. So in that case, what do we do? Do we, like some cases, we want the statement to be rolled back saying, I don't want this to happen. Keep the database as if, keep the table as if this never happened at all in the first place. We need options like that so that we can execute more than 2, 3 statements in one go itself. So that kind of option, it is called as transaction. So it is basically saying, I want to execute more than one SQL statement. It can be insert, it can be update, it can be delete, a bunch of statements together such that they all will act as if it is a single statement. If one of them fail, the whole update fails. Only if all of them pass, the whole group set of statements pass. So that is what is called as a transaction. There are certain properties that are related to a transaction. We'll discuss what those properties are. Yeah, so before that, if I was to give you some real life examples where we have transactions, you can take, for example, banking operations. So I think I've given this example to you guys a lot of times in the past as well. So in case if I'm adding money to somebody's account, I have to deduct it from somebody else's account, right? So basically, it is two different statements. One is update statement for one account, and then have to do an update statement for another account, reducing the same amount of money. So now, if any one of the statement fails, let's say what happened, I added money to first guy's account and the second guy's account when I was trying to remove the money. So that account did not exist only. That was a fake account. So in that case, I would want to take out the money from the previous account, right? If I don't take out, it is like some money got created out of thin air. So I don't want something like that to happen. So in that case, what do we want? We want transactions to be present. Okay, if we don't have transaction, we'll end up in a stale state. So you can take similar examples of online shopping as well. Once the order is created, I want to only accept the order. Once I accept the order, and I want to see that there is inventory available in my warehouse, and only then accept the order. So both of these are can be considered as one single statement. Accepting the order. Once you accept the order, checking that there is checking that there is available inventory to ship that order. If you can't ship that order, it doesn't make sense to accept that order, right? So either both of them should be happening or none of them should be happening. Okay. So very similar situation in stock market as well. Like how we in bank we were transferring money from one account to another account. So in stock market, what we do is we deduct the stocks from one person's demat account and then we put it into another person's demat account. So very similar situation here as well. We have to subtract or we have to take away the stock from one person's account, put it in another person's account. So it is again two statements we are trying to do together. So either both of them should happen or none of them should happen. Okay. So a lot of places, flight booking, healthcare management. In flight booking, same. If I booked a ticket, it should happen that the ticket no more shows up in the database. So again, it has payment. You can consider initially first payment happens and then the ticket is reserved to me. So both of them should be either happening or they shouldn't happen at all. So it is also a similar thing. So that is why you see what whenever you're trying to book a ticket or anything, and the ticket gets hold for some time so that like this situation doesn't happen. Okay. So these are all real life examples where we use transactions, where we want to apply transactions so that the whole operation is a single operation. We don't want to repeat it. We don't want to be ended at half position with stale data. Okay. So when I said about what are the properties of a transaction, so any database which implements transaction, right? So it is supposed to have all these four properties. So it's a very common interview question everywhere as well. They keep asking what are the properties of transactions. So it is called by a name by an acronym ACID. ACID. So it stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So what do we mean by atomicity? So atomicity again means the set of statements that are being executed, let's say maybe 4 or 5 statements together. So all of that should be considered as a single statement. What do I mean by that? Either all of them are executed or none of them are executed. That means if 2, 3 pass and 2, 3 fail, then we'll consider nothing is executed. We'll go back to the state where nothing was executed. Only if all of them pass, we'll assume that, okay, all of them, the whole statement is completed. It is like considering a bunch of statements as a single statement. That is why it is called atomicity. Okay. Consistency. So what consistency means is, let us say I run these 5 commands that I have in one single, you can, let's say I had a stored procedure. So once I run these all 5 commands, the state of the database should be same should be same across everywhere. It should not happen that it is not how I wanted it to be. Okay. So that is consistency. Isolation is, let's say when I am updating, somebody else should not be able to read it or somebody else should not go and update it. Okay? So that is what you're doing. You're doing it in isolation. So that is called isolation. Durability is, let us say what happened. There were 5 statements and I ran 2 statements. Okay. So after 2 statements, somebody shut down the machine. Like by shutdown, what I mean, the current went off. There was no electricity. So now when the system comes back up, right, it should be able to know that, okay, so when the last ran, these 2 statements are completed and it was part of a transaction. So ideally, this transaction has not completed. So what it should do, it should roll back to the previous state, right? So that is the example of durability. Durability means even in case of failures or shutdown of the system or anything, right? It should be able to realize that the system has been shut down or there is a failure and it should be able to go back to the proper state. It should be able to roll back to the proper state. Okay. So these are the 4 properties of transactions. Okay. So how we can ensure atomicity is we have different statements by which we can do when you do commit. So commit is a keyword. So when you do commit, what happens is all the lines that you executed so far, all the statements that you executed so far, all of them are considered as done. If you do a rollback, it means that none of it is considered as done. Okay. And there are options for auto commit settings, and then you can look at the data from the tables and all. For consistency, to say that whatever is there in the whatever I've written, whatever statements are executed are there, we have options like what they do is whatever actions you're doing, right? So it is first written into the logs and then it is persisted onto the table. So that is what this is double write buffer crash recovery. Okay. So isolation, I told we can execute it. Let's whenever I'm executing, I don't want other statements to affect my execution. So like it basically means, let us say if 2 people are executing the same statement, or let's say some different statement, but both are on the same row. So it should not happen that before executing my statement, I had a different value and after execution, I have a different value. Okay, so that is done by using setting isolation level, and internally the database does different kinds of locking. Okay. So even for durability, as I mentioned, we have a logging mechanism where any transaction that any statement that is happening is first written onto a database. Not a sorry, database. It's like a file. So it is written onto that file, and every time the system comes up, it checks have I is the file and the database fully consistent. If it is not consistent, it will try to make it consistent and then be in a proper state. Okay. So this is what. Let us take a look at certain examples of how to write transactions and all. Then we'll come back to the PPT. Cool. So anytime you are starting a transaction, right? So there are certain commands that you need to keep in mind. Transaction starts with begin work. Okay, so when you say begin work, it is like saying you're starting a transaction, and then you can, if you want to commit whatever you have done, if you want to execute, say that, okay, I've executed these 5 rows and these 5 rows should be persisted, then you do a commit. So commit means whatever here, let's say you did some insert statements, insert, insert, insert. Okay. So all these statements will be considered as done if you do a commit. Instead of doing a commit, if you do a rollback, so what this means is whatever I've done so far here, no, don't include any of it. It's like saying delete it and go where my table was just before this begin work statement. Okay. So when we would want to do rollback, in case of certain failures, let us say we're not able to achieve something, then we do a rollback. Let's look at one simple example. So let's say we'll create a new database. Transactions example. Let's say create table, accounts, yeah, ID, type int, and this is primary key. And then we have balance, which is of type, again, this is a double and a decimal, size 10, 2. So we have created a table. So let's say I want to insert, initially we'll insert two people. I'll insert A and B, insert into table B, accounts, values. One user ID 1 has 1,000 rupee balance, and then user ID 2 has 500 rupee balance. Okay. So if I do select star from accounts, you should see that balance is 1,000 and it is 500. Right. So now let us say what I want to do. I want to uh, account A, account number 1 wants to send 500 rupees to account number 2. Okay. Now let's say it wants to send 500 rupees to account number 3. So that person came into the branch and he told send 500 rupees to account number 3. Okay. So in this case, what I'll do update table name. There's the name of the table, accounts, set balance is equal to balance minus 1,000. So let's assume the balance is greater than, it will always be greater than 0. Okay, balance is balance minus 1,000, where ID is equal to what? 500, sorry, 500. Because A1 wants to send 500 rupees to 3. Okay, so we have done. So now what we want to do, we want to add this 500 rupees to account number 3. Correct thing I'm doing. So let's say I want to add account number 3. Oh, how did it add? Oh, it won't do anything. Wait. This update will not work. Select star. So it is only 2. Let's say we don't want to do update. Let's say first we get, how do we check if there is count more than 1? How do we check if a row exists or not? 1 second. So what I want to do is I want to check that there is at least one row which is getting updated. Here you saw that there are 0 rows that were getting updated, right? So I don't want to update only if there are some rows present. Okay, so let's say how I would do that. Let's say I want to store the account number before. Select, let's say I say, select ID from accounts where ID is equal to 3 into at the rate receivers. Okay. Then if I say select at the rate receiver null, okay, then where I do ID is equal to at the rate, so it should throw some error. It does not throwing error only. So 1 second. Let me just check how to update only if there are. Mm, yeah. Okay. So let's say we before that, how do I do it? How do I do it? Just give me 1 minute. Just thinking. I want to throw some error. Mm, okay. Okay. Is updating 0 by 5. I say if receiver is equal to null, then not able to update if I do. Mhm. Let's say I write this inside a function. Create scissor, send money. Okay. This takes in sender account, sender ID, and then let's say it takes in uh, receiver ID, and then we take in amount. Okay. So these are the 3 things. Create scissor, send money, sender ID. Filter, save as filter, right? Again. Okay. So measure. I want to throw an array. See. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay. Let's say we take this and then why is it showing an issue here? Procedure begin. So we'll initially take declare balance. Balance type int, and then what I do, select uh, select balance. No, this is balance of sender. Let's call it balance of sender. Okay. So select balance from accounts where ID equal to sender ID into uh, balance of sender. Cool. So what this will do, this will this will take the balance of sender and put it in this. So now what I will have to add is I'll have add a check. If balance of sender is greater than less than zero, less than this amount that he wants to send. Okay. Then uh, then we need to throw an error. Now what was that piece of code? Must state. We want to do this. Generated. 1 second. Let's just say we send this error. And if I just want to check at least if this works properly. And my that delimiter receiver int. Okay, int SQL state. SQL state. Okay. So now, whenever if I want to send money from, let's say, this sender and he has less money, it should throw an error saying this. This will change it later, but it should throw error saying the sender doesn't have enough money. Okay. So let's say if I call send money from 1 to 3 and the amount is say 10,000 rupees. So it is throwing this error. Custom error code 161. Okay. So similarly, let us assume this is not the case. This is not the case. So this guy has the money, but so I'll end this condition here. Later on, let's just drop this. Drop procedure has been dropped. So if the money is there, then what I do, then I say update table name accounts, set balance is equal to balance minus this amount, where ID is equal to center ID. Okay, so this will do that. But let us say after this, so this once this statement is done, let's say I want to add this money to this receiver, but if the receiver is not existing only, declare receiver exists. I'll keep it int only. I'll show how I'll do this here. So select count star from my accounts where ID is equal to spelling RECE receiver ID. Okay, into this the receiver exists. Okay, so if receiver is, let's say, is not existing, so if receiver exists as 0, okay. So I end it like this. So it has a function. So now if you see, let's say I do same again, I'll call the same call, send money from 1 to 3, send 500 rupees. Okay, so if you see currently select star from counts. So 1 has 500, 2 has 500. So I should be able to send 500 rupees from 1 to 3. So instead of 500, let's say I do 400. I want to send 400. Okay. So what will happen? It will fail. It should throw me an error afterwards. So it says receiver does not exist. Okay. But if you see what has happened is this 400 rupees has been deducted from this A's account now. Let us select start from account. Well, one's account. So once balance was before how much? Once balance was 500. Now once balance has become 400, but what has happened is this what do you say? Sorry, 400. So this 400 rupees has been lost now. So it has neither gone to 3 because 3 does not exist, and it has not been returned back to 1 because we have failed with some error. So then, and in such kind of situations, what we can do is we can do a rollback. Okay, so how I will have to start a transaction and then I'll do a rollback. Okay, so that is, let's say, begin declare. So all of this select balance. So this update, right? So before this, what I'll do is I will do a start transaction. So you can say start transaction or you can say start work also. Doesn't matter for any of them. Okay. Let's say I do this start transaction. Begin. And then, so in this case, no, if this is there, then what I'll do, I'll do a rollback. Transaction comes with this. Okay. Or else what I'll do, I'll say if the sender is existing, then what I'll do after this, I'll do update account set balance is set balance is balance plus amount where ID is equal to receiver ID. Then I say and commit. Okay. It's saying there's an error. 1 second now. Your equals to 0, then and the update account commit a transaction begin. And then the commit and from this side to end. Okay. So if you see what we have done is we are seeing if the what do you say, we are first getting the balance of sender, then we are seeing the receiver exists. If it doesn't exist, what we are doing is we are doing a rollback. Here, if you see rollback, okay. And if he is existing, then we are coming down and we are doing. So if this happens now, it throws an error. Nothing happens afterwards. So, but if it doesn't happen, then we are doing update account and we're adding the balance. Okay. Save this. Send money already exists. Let's remove this. Okay. So what we will do is uh, drop user. Let's create it. Okay. So now let's just try to send money. Call send money. Initially, let's say I do normally. So one has 100 rupees. From 1 to 2, send 50 rupees. Before that, let me do a select star from accounts. 100, 500. So if I run this, it should be what? 50, 550. Okay. Here it has gone to 50, 550. Right. So now let us say I say send 100 rupees from 1 to 2. Let's say it will send 500. It will fail initially saying customer. Okay, I'm not updated the statement, but it is failing saying one doesn't have that much money. But let's say I tell it to send 5 rupees to 3. So now also it will fail saying receiver does not exist. But money 5 rupees is not deducted from 1. It again goes back to 1. See, it was 50, right? It was 50 before, and even though I've already done this update account balance, it has not actually given value to this because I did a rollback. It took whatever happened before this line start transaction to before what it was. So that is why this 50 is existing. Okay, but in other case, what I'm doing, I'm okay. That I'll show you. So let's say I say send from 1 to 2, 5 rupees. This will work now because why? I've done a commit. So because of commit, what has happened is it went from what was it 50 to 45. Okay. So this is what how we use start transaction. So you can also use start transaction or you can use start work. Okay. I think it is sorry, it is begin work, sorry. Begin work. Okay. So if you use I don't think you'll need this. No. Begin work. Second. Okay, so if you do begin work, it should not get any error. Okay, fine. We will start transaction for now. So let's say I want to simplify this and show you how I'll do. So let's say I say start transaction. So what has happened now? A transaction has started. So if I log in with somebody else's other thing, right? So let's say I open with another guy's um, local instance. So let's say no, not local instance. Sorry. So I open in somebody else's account. First, we'll give permission to them. Pass it as 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll do it's to commit. Okay, so let's do grant dot star grant. What do you do? Select, insert, update, delete to passive current host on what is this example? This is transactions example. Dot star. For anybody remembers what is the source code. That's on star dot star two. Okay. So first is on, then is two. Okay. Mhm. On transactions example dot star two. So given him permission to create a user with that. Awesome. We created him. Now let's. So this guy should be able to see the tables. Okay. Passive connection is there. So there is an option. So there is one more thing that I have to show. Mm, So by default, right, in the MySQL, so there is a value called as AUTOCOMMIT. So if AUTOCOMMIT is set to 1, so each statement is considered as transaction, a part of transaction. Is considered a single transaction if it is, what do you say? Even if you put it inside a transaction or no. So if you want to actually execute transactions, you have to set it to 0. Let's see what its value is. So I want to see it. Somebody else can take in. Okay. So if you see what is the property here for that, because we have done to show. So autocommit is set to 1. So what this does is when you are writing a normal select statement, right, even if it is part of a transaction or not, it will commit it. I'll just show the example. Let's say I do start transaction. Started it. So then let us say I do insert into account. What is the table name? Accounts. Uh, Values 3 comma 10,000. Okay. So even though this is part of a transaction, right? So I've not committed it, but if I go to TASIF and then do select star, तो इसके पास कोई function का option नहीं है क्या? Transactions example. One second. Um, so in this table anyway, it will show the value that we already added, but I wanted to let's give grant, select, update, insert on transactions dot star. Let's do table name accounts for transactions dot accounts. Transactions example. Okay, so valid information. Okay, that's another example. So what I wanted to show is, let's say I do a star transaction. And then I do insert into table, insert into accounts, values 4 comma 4000. So this is a part of transaction. So only once I do a commit statement, it has to show up in the table, right? But now if I do select star use transactions example, so now if I do select star from accounts, it's not added. Okay, I think it is set to 0. So okay, let's do a commit. Done commit now. Okay. Okay, I think it is not as I thought it would be. Hmm. Okay, okay, correct. So I think it is not. So let's anyway set it to 0. Set to commit is equal to 0. So then unless we commit it, okay, fine. So now as I was showing, right? So now if I do a start transaction and then let's say I do update, table name is accounts, set balance is equal to 10,000 where ID is equal to 1. Okay. So let's say I've done this. Even though I've done this, if I run here, no, if I go to tasks and do select star from account, it will not show that. Why is it not showing? Because I've not committed it. So only once it is committed, it will show up for everybody else. Okay. So here if I come, so here, no. So now if I do commit, but to me it will show that it is updated. Select star from accounts. Okay, to me it is showing as updated, but only once I commit, everybody else can see it. Okay, so once I've done commit, now if I do select star from accounts, it is showing this. And even for Tasik, if I do select star from account, it is showing the latest one. Okay, so why did it show that? Because we did a commit. So let us say now what happened is I want to same. Let's take the example of we want to send 10,000 rupees to ID 8. Okay. So initially what I do, I see that this guy has 10,000 rupees, the one with ID 1. So I'll subtract 10,000 from him. So let's say I do start transaction. Okay. So I've done start transaction. So I do update balance, table name, set balance is equal to balance minus 10,000, where ID is equal to 1. Okay, so I've done this. Then when I do a select, start from accounts. So I see that once balance undone, but I realize, okay, there is nobody with ID 7. Then what I can do is I can do a rollback. So till this time, no, this task, if the other person is seeing, he's not seeing any changes because it is 10,000. Okay. But now if I do a rollback, but for me, it is showing it has been debited. But I realize I've done a mistake. I have to roll back everything. So what I'll do, I'll do rollback. And now if I do a select start from account, see, it has been whatever I've done after this now, it has changed, right? So not just one statement, you can also do as many statements as you want and it will still go back. So let's say I do update, I do insert into table, insert into accounts, values, 22,000, and then I'll do delete from accounts where ID is equal to 1. Okay, so I've done all these three statements. I've done start transaction. I do all these three statements. Okay, so let's say I run this. Accounts, it is supposed to be accounts. Okay, so let's say I do start transaction. I done all of this. So now if I do what do you say, select star from accounts, Should be able to see one is deleted, all the balance have been updated. We've added 20 with 2000 and all. But if I do a rollback, right? So all these statements that happened, they'll be rolled back. Now, if I do a select start from accounts, you should see one has been added back. Once balance was zero, it is zero. 20 was added. 20 is, what do you say? 20 has been removed now. We had deleted account from ID1. So that is also back, right? So once we do a rollback, what happens is all the statements that were committed, they'll go back. Cool. So this is example. This is fine. So if you go back to the PPT, this we looked at one example, so it's okay, it's fine. So there are some statements that cannot be, you cannot roll back, create tables, create statements, alter statements, and drop statements. Okay. So also on table related stuff, right? So on table, on stored procedures and all, right? So we can't usually roll back. So any data definition, anything to do with data definition, right? So those you cannot roll back. Okay. Then, so next we will look at what is save point, what is rolling back to a save point and release save point. Okay. So what this means is, so let us say I'm doing these set of statements. I'm doing 3-4 set of statements, and there might be a scenario where I don't want to delete everything. I want to go back from here. Okay, like for example, so let's say again the condition was I wanted to reduce, I wanted to send 2000 rupees from account 3 to account 4. Okay, so then what I do is I'll start a transaction. I'll update the balance. I'll subtract 3's balance by 2000. Okay, where ID is 2. Then I'll also insert, sorry, I'll do an update on the third one. Okay, balance plus 2000 for third 3. Okay, so let's say what I did is instead of doing 3, I did it for 4 by mistake. Okay, or there can be an issue where we have some errors, and because of those errors, we are not able to update properly. So then in normal case, what I'll have to do, I'll have to go back all the way from here, all the way to the start, redo the whole transaction. I'll say roll back and then do all of it, right? So instead, what I can do is, it's like I can save few points wherever after, like it is like adding pointers. So how do we do that? I do save point, and then I say name of this, removing money. So I call it removing only. Okay. So now this has been saved. So now we have created a point. It's like you have games, right? So if you have played games and all, so in games you have an option to continue from a previously saved point, saved place. If you're playing YCT and all, no? So or some other game, what happens is you play till certain point and then you can actually save your game till there. So next time when you come back, you can actually start from there itself, right? So save pointers here is also something similar to that. So once you have executed certain statements, if you want to keep a pointer there saying, in case if anything fails after this, I'm sure I don't have to update anything till here, so I'll go here. So in such a scenario, you can use save point. Okay. So here I've done save point removing. So later on, I can say where I want to roll back to. So instead of rolling back the whole transaction, I can say roll back to, and then I can do removing. So then what happens is only this gets removed, only this gets changed. This will still be remaining. If I show you an example, so let's say I do start transaction. Okay. Start transaction is done. And then after start transaction, I did this. Okay, so if you see update account is done, this is done. So if I do select star from select star from accounts, Okay. Whose balance was already very less, yeah, 2000. Okay, fine. But if you see, we have reduced, let's say our balance is also negative. So we have done two's balance has gone to negative. So then what I do, I'll also update this fourth balance. Okay. So I update fourth balance. I add 2000 to balance of account four, and then I do select star. So if I run these both at a time and see, so you should see fourth balance has gone to 6000. But now we realized, oh, we were not supposed to remove account from balance ID 4. We were not supposed to remove it from ID 3. So then what I can do, I know, I know that I have saved my status. I've saved the transaction till this point. I'd saved it after updating the balance of 2 to minus 2000. So I can go back to this point only. So how will I do that? I'll do roll back to removing. So I've done rollback to removing. So now if you see, if I go to select start from accounts, now you see. So we are at a place where two's money is not changed. If I do whole rollback of the transaction, then two's will become, I think it was 55 or something, 550 something before. So it'll go back there. But only this has been reverted. This statement that I did, that has been reverted. So if I want to go back from this, what I can do is I can do directly what so I've already gone back. Sorry, I've already gone back. Right? So now I can say update accounts with balance. I wanted to do for three, so I do for three, and then if I run these two together, so now three has been updated. Three has been added 2000. So I'll do to commit now. So once I do a commit, now if I do select star from accounts, it will show me the actual final committed value. Okay, so save point is just like using saving your work till some point in time so that if something wrong happens, you can go back if you want to. Okay, so there is also release save point. So release save point, what it does is it will remove this. So here I had added this save point, right? So it will remove that pointer. So you'll not be able to go back here. So that is like, let's say I do the same thing again. Say I do a start transaction. And I do all this. So I run this. So we have done. So now if I do release the save point and add this. Okay. So now this has been removed. So now if I want to roll back to Lumina, it should throw me an error saying it should not exist or something like that. See, what does it say? It is saying save point removing does not exist. So what does this mean? This means that whatever you're trying to add is not there. Okay. So not whatever you're trying to add. Wherever you're trying to go back, it is not there. So why it is not there? Because I did a release on save point. Okay. So I'll stop here for a while. So if people have doubts and all, you can ask. The mics are unmuted. So if you want to talk, you can also unmute your mic and talk. Okay, fine. We'll go ahead then. So we just looked at an example. So that's fine. Short generally save point. So we looked at all these examples, right? The mics are turned off. Yeah, I'll turn them on. So if you want, you can. Okay. Anybody has a doubt? Can we do rollback after commit? No, you can't. You can't do a rollback after commit. So once you're done commit, all of it is added to the database. So after that, you cannot do a rollback. What you are saying, can we take input from the user for that function? Yeah, you can take input from user. Okay. So there are some times where you wouldn't know, like let us say you are inserting into a table. If I take an example, so let's say we have this table of how should I put it? So if I do insert, uh, what is the best example where you're updating and going back? Hmm, okay, give me a second. I'm just trying to think. So where all? So I told you where all can we use these transactions and all, but how to use them is what I'm trying to look for. Hmm, okay, so this is for error handling. Okay, so let us say we open the paint. So let's say uh, there is hmm, okay. So let us assume we have, how would I do it in a banking example? So let's say I had one table, and in that table, I'm doing updates. Say, mm, okay, okay. So let us assume we had two. We had a table. We had to take input from user. So let's say we take name, and then we take phone number. We take email address. Okay. And this we are putting in two different tables. So name and phone number is in one table, name and phone number. And in another table, we have name and email address. Okay. Email address, let's call it. So if a new user comes and he tries to insert name and phone number, so what we will be doing, we'll first do a insert into this table, then we'll do a insert into this table, right? Or anyways, you can do a insert in first table before and then in the second table, or in the second table then you do in the first table. But let us say I have a unique constraint here. So I say all emails should be unique. Okay. So then what happens is first customer comes, let's say his phone number is 12 and his email address is AB. Okay. So we insert one A here, 12 A, AB. Okay. So then another customer comes, his name is B, his phone number is 34, and his email address is also AB. So what I do, I insert B, add 34 here. Then when I come to this table B, and when I try to add AB, it says that this column ID values are not unique. So I have to, so insertion fails. So in such a scenario, what do I have to do? Because it is a single statement that I have told the user. So I'll have to roll back, right? I'll have to go back saying this is also not able to insert and this is also not able to insert. Correct? So basically what I have to do is I have to roll back these both transactions saying that none of them are done. But how do I know that this error has been occurred where duplicate, not unique error has been occurred? Okay. So it is like only when I know that this error has occurred, I can do what I want to do after this error has occurred, right? So such a situation, it is called as error handling. So if you see in normal coding, right, error handling is we have something called as try catch. Okay. So what this means is I have a set of statements. So let's say I have a set of statements which I'm executing here. Okay. So in all these statements, right, there is a possibility of some error happening. So that error can be items are not unique, or you're trying to add a same column again, or you have created some error yourself and then you want to do and then you are throwing that error, or there can be plenty of errors that can be thrown. Okay, so what we want to do is we don't want to shut down the system like that only in such a scenario, or we don't want to terminate it indirectly. What we want to do is we want to gracefully show some message to the user, and then we want to terminate the function or terminate the stored procedure. Okay, so in normal coding, what we use is we have a try block. So in try block, we store all the code that we want to run, and then there is a catch block. Okay, so what catch block does is catch block is like saying whenever there is some error occurred in this statement, stop there, come to this catch block, whatever you want to execute in case of an error, execute that message and then uh, terminate the function or terminate the procedure. So this is what happens in a normal programming. So we have a similar option even in case of MySQL. Okay. So how we do that is, so we have to declare error handlers. So what that means is anytime any error or any exception is thrown, error and exception both are almost one and the same. So anytime it is thrown, we say we connect it to a handler, saying if this error is thrown, invoke this handler. Okay. So the example is declare, and you have on what kind of action you want to execute. It is either you want to continue or you want to end there itself. And handler for is again a keyword, and then for what error code you want to do it, or for what situation you want to do it, and then what is that you want to do. Okay. If I show you example, I picked it from some website. So the condition value, right? So the condition action is of two types: continue or exit. So continue means after the error has been thrown, run the block of code that is there in the action, that is there in the statement, and then continue your execution of the code. Okay. Whereas exit means at any time if you come across an error, stop there itself, execute the code in the error that we have defined, and then shut down. Shut down, by shut down I mean stop executing the function further. Okay. So that is the action and the statement. The condition can be anything that you, so there are few set of values that you can use. So one is MySQL error code. So what do I mean by error code? If you see when you're executing statements, right? So it throws this error code with the number 1305, right? So what other is have you seen? See 1064. 1064 means there is some error in the syntax, and then 1407 it means something else. So like for example, if I try to insert an already inserted account number into the accounts table, it will throw me some error. Insert into accounts values. Let's say I do 1,000. Okay, so one is already there, right? So it will throw me an error. So you see 1062 is the error code here saying duplicate entry. So I can specify the condition can be of different types. So one is MySQL error code. So this error code means I want this handler to run whenever a specific error code is thrown. So in that case, you specify a error code number. If I show you, I'd open some website where they show all these numbers. No, wait, okay. So if you see, right, so here there are different error codes. See, if I search 1062, see, 1062 means duplicate entry. So that was what it was showing. So if I can use these error codes and say, run this piece of code whenever that error code is hit. So that is one thing I can do. Or you can also say SQL state. So this SQL state it is little bit more generic than the error code. So error code is like one level of much more fine control.
Whereas SQL state is it can be more than so few number of errors are grouped into one SQL state. Like if you see all these error codes, 1000, 1001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all, so they're all grouped into this HY000 state SQL state. Okay, so then there are some other which are in different SQL state. So if you get any of these kind of errors, you can group them into one this SQL state and then execute the statement. Okay, or you can also do basic warning SQL exception or not found. Okay, so this is when, let us say, so there are lot of SQL states which group into not found, or there are a lot of SQL error codes which group into exception. So if you want to categorize even lesser, saying group, I want only these three types of groups: warning, not found, or exception. So you can use that. So it is like error code is the most highest level of control. SQL state is slightly lesser level of control, and then this warning, not found, exception are like the least type of control. Okay, and then the statement, you can add one single statement or a set of statements, and they, if you want more, you can start with begin and end with end keyword if it is more than one single statement. So like for example, this is one where I'm saying so if any error is happening, so continue run that piece of code. Before running that piece of code, what you do is set has error value to be 1. Okay, this is one such example. And then so there's another. So let us say what we are doing is we are doing any SQL exception, we do a rollback, and then we put this statement saying an error has occurred, operation rollback, and stored procedure was terminated. Okay, so we can try this executing this thing. Okay, just show you what. So I'll give the do the same example. So let's say we create a table called phone number, where we have ID uh, int. Okay, and then we have phone number varchar of size 50, and let's say it is unique. Okay, cool. This is one table created. I'll create another table called email ID int phone number. So now you see, if I try to add something which is already there, it will throw me an error. Insert into phone number, say values 1 phone number is, let's say, it's the 123. 123 is the phone number. So it is added. So if I try to insert two also the same phone number, it will throw me an error saying duplicate entry, right? So now let us say I want to mimic this via stored procedure. Okay, so how will I do in that case? So let's say I do create procedure insert into two tables, I'll call it. Okay, so insert into two tables, and I take values in ID, in phone number, and then in input email. Okay, and ID is of type int, phone number is of type varchar, size 50, and then email is also of type varchar of size 50. Okay, sorry, try to begin. So after this, when I begin, right, so here we can define the error that we wanted to. Let me take this. So what we do is this is like one single statement. So after I begin this, I'm declaring a exit handler for any SQL exception that comes. Okay. So for anything that comes, I'll do a begin, then I do a. So this is the statement that we executed when we are exiting from this code piece. So I'll do a rollback, and then I'll do the select statement and end it. Okay. So it is throwing error because I'm not saying the delimiter. Okay. It's saying error. Statement is incomplete, expecting an identifier. Fine. It's fine. Okay. One second. So now we'll do we'll write our normal procedure. Okay. So declare uh, We don't want any declare also. We just do insert. Huh? So start transaction. Then we do begin. And then we will say insert into phone number values ID comma phone number. Okay. And then what do I do? Insert into table का नाम क्या होगा? Email ID comma email, and then after this I'll do commit. Okay, and then it is end. So this is the end of this begin statement, and then this is the end of this begin. Okay, so this end should end with end, and then we set the delimiter back to this. Error क्यों दिखा रहा है? Start transaction. We don't have an end or something. Insert into email values. Okay, sorry, we don't have a begin and end for start transaction. So what are we doing? So we're inserting into two different tables. In one table, we're inserting ID and phone number. Another table, we're inserting ID and email. So we have a restriction saying phone number and email both should be distinct and in all the cases. So at any point in time, if somebody comes with the same phone number or email, it will fail. So it will fail, we know that, but we also want to ensure that this doesn't happen, like this exit handler. So we have to clean up if we are inserting in one of the column, we have to clean up the other column saying don't insert. Okay. So all of this. So let us try to do it without these exit handlers and all. Okay. Without exit handler, without transaction and all of it. Then we'll try to do one with all of this. Okay. So I mark this way. So I take it. So in यहाँ पे हम क्या कर रहे हैं? So we'll remove this. Okay, this is not there, so commit also will not be there. So this is a simple function saying take the values from user, insert into this. So I run this. The function has been created. So now if I do call insert into two tables, say I insert one is already there. Let's say I insert 3, and 3's phone number is 456, and 3's email is also 456. Okay. The emails won't be like this, but let's assume I've done this. So it has successfully completed. So if I do select star from email, we should see 3, 4, 5, 6. Select star from phone number, we should see 4, 5, 6. Cool. So this is fine. But let's say I insert 4 with phone number as 789 and email ID as 456. So then what will happen? The first one will pass because phone number is not there. But when I try to insert the second one, it will fail saying duplicate entry, right? So if you see duplicate entry for 456. But if I do select star from phone number, 4 has already been added, but it is not added in email table. Why? Because it is not a part of a transaction. So the first statement when we ran, so this is not the function, that was the old function. So when we ran that first statement, that statement got auto completed. It was considered it is separately a transaction, and then so we inserted that. But I don't want that to happen because we are inserting in two different tables. Either we insert both of them or we don't insert them at all. So for that, what we'll do, we will make it as a part of a transaction. And when both of them are succeeding, we'll do a commit. In any case of failure, So this is for any SQL exception. So for any exception that we get, we'll do a rollback. Okay, cool. Let us delete that old function and create this function now. Okay, so let's say a delimiter will drop the function first. Drop procedure, insert into two tables. Okay, so dropped it. So let us create it now again. Okay, so let's say I try to insert 5 saying 789. So it will anyway fail saying 789 already exists. So let's say what happens if I run this. See, what is it saying? So it hit that exception and it is saying us an error has occurred, operation rollback, and the stored procedure is terminated. Okay, so let us say what happens is the first number is fine, 5. I'll insert ABC. ABC is the phone number. So ABC is not at all inserted into the table. If I do select star from phone number, ABC is not inserted. So this part of the code will work fine. But later on, since 456 is there in the email table, no, it will fail. Okay. So, but even though it fails, what it does, it rolls back everything. And because it rolls back, this ABC is not added into the first table. You can see an error is occurred, operation rollback. So now if I do select star from phone number, ABC is not added. Why is ABC not added? ABC was not added because it was part of a transaction, and what we did is we did a rollback in case we hit any error. Right. So this was the so what this means is we are adding a handler. So this is like whenever there is any SQL exception happening, we'll execute this part of the code. Okay, and after that, what we'll do, we'll exit. So instead of this, if I would have done a continue, right, then what would have happened is after wherever the statement is running, right? So here after this, instead of finishing there itself, it would run all the statements that are after that. Okay, I'll show you. There's an example for continue as well. Okay, stop for a while. Let's go back to slides. And that's slides. Okay, sorry. Let's go back to the PPT. So this was one example. So again, same. So for something, if you didn't find anything in a select statement, if the count is 0, you can say set row not found. Okay. You can also do. So let's say if you want to name certain exception, right? So no, so this is 1062 is not found. So if something is not found, you can do a select statement saying it is not found and continue from there. So there is one example. So this is again from one of the places that I took. I'll show you this example. Okay. So we have a table. This is like products. Okay. So what is this table? Table has a supplier ID, product ID, and the supplier ID and product ID combination is a primary key. So if I can insert 1, I can insert 1, 2, but I can't insert 1, 2 again. This will throw an error saying it is not unique. Like if I give an example, insert into supplier products values, say to 10, 10. So this will work. If I do again 10, 10, it will fail. But if I do 10, 11, it will pass because it's a primary keys of both the values. Okay. So let's say I show you the next function. See if delimiter is and so it's $. So what is this function doing? So we are doing a create procedure. It's of type We are taking two values inside integer of type integer and supplier ID and product ID. So if any of them is failing, so you have declared a exit handler for 1062. So if you see what you have done here, this is a very specific error code. So we are declaring an exit handler for a very specific error code. So once this error code is occurring, we'll come out of the program itself. We don't do anything. And then what we are doing, we are just showing them a message saying duplicate key. Okay. So this is the handler, and the normal statements are one insert statement, and then we have a select. After insert, we have a select statement. Okay. So now if I run this, say create this function. So this is created. So if I call same thing that I was doing using direct insert, call insert supplier product. So I do 1, 1, initially insert and it will say count as 1. But if I do 1, 2, 1, 2 also will work. It should say count as 2. If I do 1, 1 again, it will say it is showing this error saying duplicate key 1, 1 occurred in the message. So this is what we have written here. We're doing a select statement. Okay, so this is fine. And it is not executing. So if you see the error is being thrown here, insert into table. So it is not executing the select statement if there is an error. Why? Because you are told whenever you hit an error, exit. So this is an exit handler. This is not a continuation handler. So whenever there is any error that is happening for a statement, we exit from there. Okay. So now I'll show you how a continue handler will look like. So instead of this, I do continue. Okay. So then what we do in continue handler, this doesn't make sense. So, but you'll find finally this statement will be showing up. So let's say I do draw procedure insert supplier product. If I run this, so it should say the function has been created. Does not exist. Okay, sorry. This got executed. Just created. So now if I do call insert int supplier product, I do 1, 1. So it still shows me saying, okay. So first it shows first. So even though last time what was happening was whenever the statement was failing, it was not showing me the count. It was ending there only. It was saying this as message and then it was ending. But now here, if you see, it is also showing me this duplicate key and then it is also showing me result. But let's say if I do 1 and 5, so it will only show me count. Okay, because there is no error that has happened. But if I try to do again 1 and 5, so you can see result 38 is initially saying duplicate key 1 occurred, but later on it is continuing from there. After executing this piece of the code, again it is continuing from after the line wherever the error occurred. The error occurred here, so after this line it is continuing. So that is why this is again coming up and showing me count star. Okay. So this is the difference between when you have a continue handler and when you have a exit handler. Okay. Cool. Let's just go ahead. So there is also a precedence for all of this. So I was saying, right? So you can add these errors in 3 different forms. So one form is the pure error code, error number. Then you can specify SQL state, and then you can specify exception or warning or not found. So error is the most specific. Then SQL state is like mid-level between most specific and least specific. Then SQL exception and SQL warning are like least specific. Any exception comes, you map it here and then throw. Any warning comes, you map it here and do something that you want. Okay. So that is it about precedence. So you can also create your own name for them. What was it? So here, if you see, this is we have declared an error handler for 1146 saying please create table ABC first and all. But let's say I want to create my own name for this kind of error. So that is possible. So what we do there is we say for this error, for table not found. So the error is I want to name this 1146 as table not found. Okay, so it becomes like whenever this 1146 error is happening, so it is mapped to table not found. So that is why below, if you see, he has declared a exit handler not for the error code, not for 1146, but it is for the table not found message. If you see here, no, here the exit handler was declared for the number directly 1146, but here it is declared for table not found. And how is it working? Table not found is mapped to this condition 1146, so that is why it is mapped. We can test this as well. So let's say if I run this, let's say if I do call test proc. Okay, so it is, what is it saying? It is saying please create table ABC first, because ABC table doesn't exist. But if I drop this and then create a named exception, that will also work. So we are dropping it first, but we are declaring a name for this kind of condition. If 1146 is occurring, it means table not found. Then later on, I can use it for any kind of table not found messages. So why we can use this? Because 1146 people may not be able to remember or understand it. What is this meaning? But I've declared it for a like human readable format error code. So because of this, what happens now? It is easy for anybody to directly use. So anytime you find a table not found, you can do this. I run this. I can create it. I to call test proc. This is not dropped. It has dropped. It's created. Oh no, wait, this line is written. Okay. I should have called test prop. It is saying, please create table ABC first. Okay. So here, both same function, but here I've mapped it to a human readable kind of a error message instead of this number. Okay. So that is it. Next is isolation levels. This is different. 49. I'll stop for a while. If you people have any doubts, I'll take your doubts or else I'll continue. Your mics are unmuted if you want to ask something.
Sir,
Yeah.
uh, sir, consider I have created 5 save points. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, then I go to the first save point which I had created,
Mhm.
and I deleted something. Then it
Mhm.
will affect the other save point or not? Or
Yeah. So if that save point is before, so like say like for example, so you have so let's say you have save point one, SV2, you have SV3, SV4. Okay. So then from here, if you go back to save point one, right? So all of these will be lost because you're basically removed all of them and gone back to the most previous one, right? But if you go to save point four, from save point four, if you roll back to save point four, then you'll still have 3, 2, 1 with you. You can later on roll back. But if you directly go back to first one and then you want to go back to 2 or 3, that is not possible because this will get erased once you go here because it is even before all of this happened.
yes. So is there any limits to creating of save point, or we can create as many?
There should be, not sure of the number, but there should be some limit, some physical limit, maybe 18 thousands probably, but there should be some limit.
Okay.
Unlimited you can't. It will be, but uh, not to bother for us. Whatever 100, so you can create Arabs
Yes.
without any issues. Okay. Anybody else? Nobody has anything? Okay. I'll just explain one or two, whatever it is, right? 2010, 840. I think we'll better do questions on transactions. Okay. So let's say I have, so we were looking at examples before, no? So where all transactions can be used for flight booking. Okay. So let us say I have a table which there are two tables that says in. So one table is booking ID, and then one more is say like this. So I have two tables. So second table is for seat and booking ID. Okay. And then the first table is for creating bookings. Okay. So what we want to do initially, the user will add a row to the booking table saying your seat is booked. We'll not say seat is booked. We have accepted your booking, and then we'll assign them a seat. Okay. So in case we are not able to assign them any seat, then what we have to do is we have to roll back this as well as this. Correct? So how will we code this? Anybody wants to just answer how we would do it? You don't have to type the code, we'll do it, but if you want to answer. Please, how we'll do simple. I don't want any specific. How would you do normally? Nobody? So before doing a booking, we'll start a transaction. Then in all this middle, if you find any error, okay. So if any error is there, we will do a rollback. And if there is no error at the end of this seat booking, we'll do a commit. As simple as that. No? Correct. Okay, let us try. So let's say we do we'll create a new database, create DB flights. Okay. Yeah, I think DB doesn't, so it should be database. Flights. Okay, this is fine. So then what we do is we'll say create use the database flights, create table bookings. Say we have the username, call it ID, type int, it's a primary key. Sorry, int primary key, and then say we allowed it ID is there. Say we allowed it a seat, and seat is of type varchar, type size 10. Okay, this is one table. The other table is seat, seats, and then we have, let's say, seat varchar size 10, and then booked. Let's say we'll add ID to it. Okay, ID, and then we will do a int. And what we'll do is we'll say it is so we'll insert into this table only if the seat is all, or else the insert will only fail. Okay, so let's say unique I do seat, comma ID. Okay. So what this means, I'll first add into booking. So then whenever I'm adding into seats, right? So it should be, what do you say? Um, uh, I'll only be able to add if nobody else has added before. So if somebody else has added before, it will fail saying it is already added. So that means when do we add? We add when we book a seat correctly. So it can happen that initially when you go to the booking site, let's say there is user A and there is user B. For both of them, seat C1 is open. Okay. So both of them book the seat C1. So both of their booking gets created with C1. But then when we are inserting into the table, right? So only one of them will go through first. So either A will go through first, B will go through first. So if A go through first, B is booking, everything should get cancelled. If B goes through first, A should get cancelled. Okay. So we'll try to do this. So unique seat ID, we've done this. So let's say we create both these tables. So both are created. So now we'll do create procedure book seat ID and seat only. Okay. Create procedure book seat, and we take in int ID of the booking in okay, booking ID, comma int, sorry, int in seat number, software cache size. So say we do begin, not begin. Delimiter is changed to and. Say begin. So we'll declare error saying declare SQL exit declare exit. What is the syntax? Declare exit for wait. The syntax. Declare exit handler for condition value statement. Declare exit handler for SQL exception. We'll do a rollback. Again, rollback, and we will say select. Ticket has not been booked as status. And then we do end. Okay. So we've done this, we did this. After the end, we'll see this. Okay. So we did begin, declare this. Then normally what we'll do start transaction. Okay. Transaction. Then we do insert into flights. पहले bookings पे डाल देंगे. Bookings and then values. What are the values? Booking ID, comma, seat number. Okay. Then we'll do insert into bookings, values, bookings name, seats. We'll insert seat number and then insert booking ID. Cool. And then let's say we'll print saying select ticket successfully booked as status. And we'll do commit. So I do end and then
delimiter. Okay. So what have we done? Very simple. We are declaring an exit handler whenever there is any exception, and we are rolling back everything. We're saying book ticket is not booked. Let's say create this function. So it created procedure. Sorry, I create this procedure. It should get created successfully. So now let's say I do book seat for let's say ID1 and then book C1 seat. So it will book ticket booked successfully. But if second person also tries to book the same, right? It will so hurry ticket booked successfully. That's okay, sir. Oh, okay, I remember what the error. If it is in seats, right? The combination of the ID and seat is unique. Just the seat should also be unique. We'll delete 1 second. Give me a minute. Delete from table. Delete from seats. ये बोलेगा safe mode. Disable safe mode. How do we disable safe mode? There is a error code to disable safe mode. Yes, I keep forgetting it. Disable safe mode in MySQL. Set safe SQL updates. So cool, done. And then we have delete from sheets, delete from bookings. Okay, so now we'll set seat ID as a primary key. Update table seats. Sorry, update nahi, alter the table seats. Modify column seat varchar 5 primary key. ठीक है, हाँ तब ये हो गया. तो अब if I say I'll book C1 for 2, ये successfully book हो गई. Now if 3 tries to come and book the same seat, it will fail, saying ticket has not been booked. Why it is failing? Because it comes, it is able to insert the value into this properly, but later on it says that it is not able to insert into this, so it fails, and it does a rollback. So if you want to see before and after rollback, now let's say I do one more select segment here. Select star from bookings. Okay. Now if I do drop and then drop procedure book seat. Okay. This has been booked. So let's create this. Say हुआ क्या नहीं. Okay. Drop हुआ है. So let's say to trigger this function has been created. So if I do book seat, ticket has not been booked, but before that you see we added this C1 and 3 into the booking table first. But now if you see C1 and 3, it will be removed. Select star from booking. So it is removed. It is removed because we did a rollback once it failed. Right? So anytime if you see come across any error, you can add a rollback by declaring an exit handler. Cool. I think that's enough for today. So what all we finished covering. So we have done. This still remains concurrency and locking. So I will do that. It will take just it is more of theory, nothing much. But this is done. I completed what classes? 15 classes are done. So I'll try to finish this much in tomorrow's class.